Hi, I'm Deborah Sadler, and I am the author of the trilogy Words of the Temple, A New Humanity, which is a positive perspective on the events that have been taking place since 2020. And this video is for entertainment purposes only. So the foundation of the trilogy is the precession of the equinoxes, which is an astronomical event. It takes our sun 26,000 years to go through all 12 signs of the zodiac, and it actually goes around Alcyon, the brightest star in the Pleiadian star cluster or star system. And 13,000 years below, 13,000 years above. And the sun has come around, and it came around, it went below, and below here is the dark, and up above here is the light. And right now it is lined up with the center of the galaxy because the galaxy is flat. And so when it is here, it's lined up with the equator of its circumference around the star Alcyon. And this is a new cycle. Above here is light, unity, compassion, world peace, ascension. Down here is the shadow. This is where we've been. We've been down here for 13,000 years. And actually Kryon, who is channeled by Lee Carroll, would tell us actually we've been in the shadow for eons. And yes, there is an awakening going on. And there are a group of people who are in agreement that they do not want an awakening going on, because they're holding on to the past, which is separation, keep us separate, keep those people out, greed, avarice, all of the qualities that we don't want to see in human beings are qualities that we had in the dark. Fear, using fear to rule people. Does that sound familiar? It's basically the story of history. And Kryon says history was like a round train track. And it's been going around and around and around, just repeating itself, with one war after another. But on 12/21/2012, which is the center point of the precession of the equinoxes, which started in 1994 and will end in 2030, so 12/21/2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, is the midpoint of the precession of the equinoxes. And so we have 36 years to get from the shadow, to get from fear, to get from feeling separate from everything and everybody, and being in the dark and keeping things secret, to moving into the light and into unity consciousness. We move from cruelty to compassion. That's a big change to make in 36 years. And that's why there's so much tension and so much division and so much sense of separation on our planet. And more recently, the darker energies holding on to the past, who want to make things the way they were in the past again, are using methods that are just so obvious. It's just corruption right in front of us, because the light is winning. And the light became greater than the dark, according to Kryon, on that 12/21/2012 midpoint of crossing the precession of the equinoxes. And it's about where we are in our galaxy. It's literally about where we are in the universe. And we're moving, and we have moved, and you can see the shift in humanity. And so the trilogy that I wrote during the pandemic is called Words of the Temple, A New Humanity, because we are birthing a new humanity, and you can see it in the young people. And I write about the indigos, and I talk about them all the time, and Kryon is like, you know what, they're coming of age. This is where we're going to see the shift, because they came here to make radical and permanent transformation and change. And that was a teaching from Star Mother, who was the spiritual leader of the Hashemim, who I studied with for 20 years. And so the woman who wrote the book about the indigos came from the town I lived in. I was able to get access to her draft before it was published, like in the early 80s. And so I have been waiting for these indigo children to be born and come of age. And so there's great transformation taking place. But what I am noticing right now, today, in this energy where we've had all this Gemini, we had a Gemini new moon, with the moon in Gemini, the sun in Gemini. Mercury is just come conjunct exactly with the sun, which rules Gemini. So just lots and lots of communication, a lot going on. And it occurred to me from just observing what's taking place is that we are at a tipping point, because we can see that there is not enough to go around. And you can see it being perpetrated in our Congress, insisting there's not enough to go around for the poor, but there's plenty for the rich. Well, that's a system that's been on this planet for as long as that cycle's been going around. But what Kryon says is on 12/21/2012, we went on a sidetrack. We went off that track, and we are on a sidetrack. And he says we don't know where we're going, but we are a planet and a humanity in ascension, and we are going toward world peace, but we've never been on this track. We've been on the track of one war after another. And where those in power made sure the people were kept in lack and limitation. And we can see from the oligarchs and from the billionaires and soon to be trillionaires that there is more than enough to go around. And so humanity is awakening despite the effort of many who are just used to the old energy. And this is where they feel comfortable. This is where they've been. This is where they come from. Kryon says it will take us 3 generations. It's just a matter of attrition. You know, that old thinking will just die out. If you look at what, in my 3rd book, I write about the audience for Fox News. The average at the time of my writing in 2021, the average age was 65 and 94% of them were white. So what future is there in that? There is no future in that agenda. There is no future in that agenda. It's just there are a lot of people still hanging on. But what I am feeling is a tipping point where even the hanger-oners are starting to realize, you know what, this is too obvious. This is too obvious. This is Robin Hood in reverse. This is not what I want. It's not helpful to me. It's not helpful to my family. It's not helpful to my community. This is dangerous. Oh, there's an awakening. And much of why we're going through this is because a lot of the folks in our nation need a wake-up call. And this is their wake-up call. Where's FEMA? Oh, we're disbanded FEMA. Well, where's my special education for my child? Oh, we disbanded that. You don't need that. You don't pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. And so the light is winning because you can see now the corruption of the dark is being exposed, and we can see it on TV. We can see it in our news. We can see it in our social media. And we're watching the dark energy be exposed for how darn dark it actually is, and for the control it's had over humanity, and how we are breaking free because it's the age of Aquarius and it's power to the people, and there's way enough money and resources for the whole world to live with a home and an education and clothes and healthy food and water. It's just a lie. It is a ruse that there is not enough to go around, and that we cannot provide help for those who've been in a disaster using their own tax dollars. And, you know, similar things happened during COVID, where people had paid for things to the federal government, such as unemployment, but their state wouldn't allow them to take that, took that money away from them, hoping that they would then go out and get a job because they absolutely had to get a job at a low pay. And that's the thinking of these politicians. So what I'm seeing is I'm seeing that coming to light. And I'm seeing a shift. Enough of us have awakened. And so start watching the dominoes. You know, it was several years ago that Kryon said, oh, the dominoes are going to fall, and some of them are going to be really big dominoes. So I'm just feeling that tipping point coming, because enough of us have done the work to bring in the light, to just hold the frequency of love and peace and joy and ease and grace, despite all this ridiculousness of which we are observing. And to just hold that energy that peace on earth is our birthright, and that every one of us is born magnificent, and as such we need to treat every one of us as if we are magnificent, providing the basics. So I'm just getting really cheered up by just feeling the energy, and little bird behind me tweeting away, knowing that we have come really far, and the whole part of the teachings of Words of the Temple is that this is an astronomical event, and we are moving every day further into the light, further into unity consciousness, further into compassion, further into awakening humanity, and Earth Mother herself is leading the pathway. So I am just feeling her wonderful vibration, and that of each and every light worker out there, and I'm just feeling like suddenly we got that edge that Kryon's been saying, that there is more light in the light-dark quotient than there is dark. And I'm feeling that there's even more light, and that the light is going to expose everything, and we just get to shift into a world that works for everyone. So I want everyone to have a great week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.